mind, whether I'm spitting in front of a big audience or a small audience, you can't discriminate. You know what I mean? Because whether there's like 10 people in the room, whether there's like 1,000 people in the room, you still gotta do you know, because you're the performer. And people are there to enjoy the music, and you're there to share the music. To me, you know, first and foremost, I'm a music consumer, you know, and I'm a music fan. So when I like play in front of people, I'm trying to interact with the music and interact with the people. You know what I mean? So to me, you can't discriminate whether it's a big crowd or a small crowd. You know, bottom line is it's a crowd and people are there to hear your music. Share with them. What inspired me to DJ are just the people I hang out with. You know, I mean, I came to Grand Rapids in '95. I went to Calvin College, and Calvin College at that time didn't really have a vibrant music scene. So I had to look outside of campus. You know what I mean? And once I started hanging out with people who are kind of into the more, you know, the more not so popular music, the more underground music, the more, you know, the kind of music that's not on the radio airwaves, MTV, BET. You know, that's what really turned me on, because I want something different. I don't like art being spoon-fed, and I want to have choices. You know, there's a time and place for everything, but you know, if the only kind of music you listen to is the same stuff that they're shoving down your throat on the radio airwaves and on MTV and all that, you know, I want choices. You know, so when I'm up on stage, I think of that. I'm like, hey man, you know, I'm playing in front of all these people. I'm here to break a song that I like and throw it at the people and see if they like it too. I want to share it, you know. So and because of that, I really believe that music is like a communal thing. You're just sharing. You're just interacting with music. You know, that's all it really
is. Large audiences, I don't know. It's a lot more fun. You know, the response, you know, when I DJ, I like to go off of crowd response. You know, it's hard when there's a few people there. Like, it's fun because I guess that's when you can practice or whatnot, but like, I would prefer to play in front of a larger crowd, you know?
Like, it's like sort of like the feeling you get, like, you're on stage or being faster.
It's, well, when there is a large crowd and you're playing and like everyone's like dancing or like right up like watching you play, or like, you know, you play a song and it's like everyone starts cheering or like jumping, like that's fun, you know? Like it's like a drug almost, you know? It's like a high when you're on stage and you can like control a dance floor. It's funny because you can like as a DJ you can play songs that are less tempo or kind of mellow it out and then like build it back up.
My name is Kenneth Thomas. I've been DJing 7 years, 6, 7 years, something like that. From Detroit, Michigan, the home of techno.
Let's make some noise for Kenneth Thomas.
I didn't get into the electronic music scene. I didn't like it. It's not like I started going to parties, and that's how I got turned on to music. I was into punk rock. I was a hardcore punker back in the late 90s. And was into that scene. I've always been into really emotional music, and that's what attracted me to punk was the emotional chords and the pure adrenaline and stuff. And then some friends of mine kind of were into the new Oakenfold CD that came out in '98, Transport, and I remember spending a weekend with some friends in California on a trip out there, and they were just listening to the CD non-stop and freaking out about it. And I didn't get it. They'd be like, you know, getting all excited about certain parts, and like, listen to this, this is amazing. And I'm like sitting there like, dude, it's the same thing. But a track off there actually caught my attention, and I wound up going out and buying the CD. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a catchy hook. And I bought the CD, and I actually had that like experience, that like clicking moment when the music finally clicks and you understand it. And what I found in trance back then, specifically the genre of trance, was it was the most directly, immediately emotional connection to music that I've ever experienced. Like that sound, the Sasha Global Underground, Oakenfold Global Underground, Transport sound was like, it touched me emotionally closer and deeper than any other music that I've listened honestly, like, I don't really, I make eye contact with the crowd and I interact with them because they like it and it's important to show them that you're having a good time. But honestly, I dance and do what I'm doing up on stage as if I was in the dance floor. Like, the only difference between me and the people that are rocking on the dance floor is I'm the guy who gets to pick the next record. That's the only difference. Like, I'm having as much of a good time, if not better, than the people on the floor. And I love feeding off their energy, and I think they like to feed off mine. And it's just excitement about the music. It's that emotional attachment. It's that emotional, whether you're playing Gnarly, it's just like, I can't believe this, or whether you're playing Epic and it's just like unbelievable, and you're like, you can't breathe because it's so beautiful and such an emotional moment. Funny, I read a Scumfrog quote. I don't know if he really said this or not, but somebody had this on their, on some website or something, and it said something like DJing is the only place where a guy can stand there and not even moving and just stare down with 10,000 people in absolute awe of him, playing other people's records and get paid tens of thousands of dollars for it. I mean, it's hilarious that's like that. But I honestly believe it is an art form. Even if you don't produce, I mean, producing is important, and that's, I think, the inevitable next step if you start out as a DJ. As if you start out as a producer, the inevitable next step is to DJ. It's you go in both realms, but I think DJing in itself, I mean, you got to pick the tracks, you got to read the crowd, you got to program, there's so many intricate things. Everyone thinks that if they can beat match, they're a DJ. No, beat matching is not learning how to DJ. When you learn how to actually play records together, that doesn't mean you've learned how to DJ. That means you've learned the basics. That means you've gotten to the point where you can now drive. You know what I mean? It's like a car. Like, just because I was talking to my buddy Jeff about this weekend. It's just because you learn how to drive a stick doesn't mean that you're going to enter the Indy 500. It means you can go on the freeway. Learning to really work the car is what it's about. And learning to beat match is only the beginning. The true art form is reading the crowd, programming, having a good time, just perfecting the set.